Is this you?
Whoa, why do I still hear it? What's happening? Hold on. This is weird. Wait, we're gonna do it again.
Is this you?
We're just gonna play it 2 times just because I feel like it. You know what I mean?
Fire intro.
Was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live, YouTube livey. Man. Warning, I am tired, people. I'm not gonna hold you. I am tired. It was a travel week, feels like. And it feels like it was a whole week. We just got back from 120 Chicago, so bear with me. But we are talking about should you work for free? Should you not? What should you do? Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We're going to talk about it. But first and foremost, of course, the new episode dropped today. Fire interview. I'm not going to tell you who it is. You should just know already. You should go check it out. The audio experience is out. What are we up to? 104?
104.
Yes.
Yep.
We're up to 104. So everybody, once you hear it, share it, do what you do. Moose, how are we feeling?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good. I got to sneak out of Chicago a day early, and fortunately I didn't have any bad delays, so I was able to, recover Sunday, had a full day yesterday. So I'm not as in the struggle right now. So now overall pretty good, man. The conference was really dope and a lot of fun to see everybody.
Yeah, no, not me.
Said about that.
Yeah, Delta. I don't know what's up with y'all lately with y'all little layovers and delays with every layover or cancels with every layover that I have. Stop it, please. I'm tired. Sorry, I live in a city that doesn't have so many direct flights. You can fix that. Delta. Go more places in Norfolk, Virginia, instead of like Atlanta and New York. Please, thank you. But anyways,
it's a good slogan for them. Delta, go more places. It's a nice little, little marketing.
This is a
nice
fact.
little marketing. That's a great slogan right there. Hey, Delta, Nicky at. I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'm trying to collect my points, right? That's all I'm trying to do is collect my points so I can be platinum status. And I feel like it's almost not worth it. I'm tired. I feel like when I'm tired, that may affect my health. Now we have health problems, Delta, because we are chasing points, right? This is what we have to do. Sacrifice our health.
You are so good. You are so good. You are so good at that. He said, well, you see what happened was you thought it was a delay, but in reality, it's this whole thing. So that's a problem. You got to fix that.
I'm saying you're causing health issues.
I respect it. Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know. But, whatever.
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Delta, just get better. I don't know what's happening, but just get better. Thank you. Moose, what are we talking about today?
Man, so you actually hit me with this topic, which I actually thought was super interesting. Saying, should you work for free? Now, of course, my mind went to a couple of different places, and I'll kind of set it up briefly, at least as far as what I think, but definitely provide us some context around, why this topic came to your mind today and set us up. But before we get into it, man, if you're tuned in, shout out to everyone who's tuning in. I see Dalton on the check-in, the Adaptives podcast. Shout out to you all, Sister Abby in the house. Y'all make sure you share this with at least or at least 2 people. How about that? I won't even say 3. I'll keep it easy for you. Share this with at least 2 people before we get going. Oftentimes when we talk about a topic like this, should you work for free? We're not just saying work for free as an employee, right? We understand a lot of people are trying to get out of their 9 to 5. And if you love your 9 to 5, hey, respect, more kudos to you. But for those of you who are looking to build your personal brand, your business, you're trying to really work on becoming a creative entrepreneur, one of the ways that you can acquire clients, believe it or not, is by providing some level of free value. Now, we talk about it a lot, specifically in your social media content strategy, but there is ways to do that in your actual deliverables and the services that you provide as a way to earn the trust, as a way to show what you can do, which essentially can convert into an opportunity. So we're going to dive into that topic. There's definitely some do's and don'ts, some pros and cons when it comes to putting your services out there for free, making sure that it's surrounded with some boundaries so you're not being taken advantage of, and free becomes forever. And you're like, whoa, I thought this was a trial period, right? So there's definitely some ways to do it strategically so that it can make sense. But let me pass it to Nix for some context, and let's go ahead and jump in this thing.
Yeah, so the crazy thing is, how do I put this? I had a really good shout out to Connie S. Falls, who was who was a guest on the Nicky and Moose podcast. So shout out to her real quick. Right, and had a great meeting with her this past weekend, and realizing that I have to have a buffer, like a person that is going to be the closer. Right? For me. Why? Because I have this, I just want to help everybody. Talk to me. We can do this. Talk to me, right? But I do that in a more strategic way than maybe the past, right? The past, I didn't understand pricing. I didn't understand I guess maybe because of my background of being in the Navy and just serving, that at a certain point it had a cutoff if you trying to make a living, right? So in this meeting, I was like, if it's not about the relationship, if it's not about more opportunities, then I'm not doing it for free. But if there is opportunities that could be leveraged, or, great partnerships that could be done, I have no problem doing things for free. Now, once again, the monetizing for me is not just money. Monetizing for me, what I realize is also has to do with relationships, right? Monetizing for me is also about getting some of my time back. So when I'm looking at, what should I do for free? What should I not? There still has to be a level of monetization for me in the way that I define monetization, right? Not saying that is the Google way or the Webster way of what monetization means. For me, it means those 3 things: money, time, and relationships. If I can get one of those 3 in this dealing, I'm Gucci, right? But in the past, I was reflecting, and I'm like, damn, I did a lot of things for free and didn't get nothing in return, that in which I don't do things for things in return, but realizing the other person was benefiting the whole time. And low key, not a particular person, just a situation. So I don't want people to be like, oh my God, what's Nikki talking about? Right? But, the situation, they were getting majority of the benefit, and I wasn't learning anything. There was nothing in it for me, but because I was oblivious and didn't really know, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's go, let's do it. Boom, boom, boom. Certain life experiences is now why we're here talking about it, because some people don't know when to put a charge to it. Some people don't know how to leverage. Some people are unaware of that you can pay, you can charge for what you do, though you may not think it's a big deal or it won't take you so much time. So much time is still time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I know me and Moose both have battled with this topic somehow, some way, and have gotten the bitter end of the stick at certain points. So I just wanted, to have the convo.
Yeah, no, that's super real and relevant simultaneously. I mean, I'll jump right into it, man. You know, I think just about what you said as far as getting stuck or being in a position that really isn't mutual in a sense. It's not really happening on both ends where you feel as though, okay, this is fair to you and it's fair to me, although I may be doing something for free. You know, I find that, of course, it's always the premature jump that gets you stuck. It's the desire and the desperation to get out of whatever your current situation is and get into this next thing that you make in your mind to be a lot better, that you don't really evaluate what makes sense and what doesn't. And so if I just want to jump in, and that's why I've always said, be careful with just saying that you're an entrepreneur. It's not about being an entrepreneur. Like, you know, you can have time freedom through unemployment. It's not about becoming an entrepreneur to have free time. It's about having a vehicle that is profitable, that is progressive, and that is driving impact to the specific cause or group of people that you want to help. That's what it's about. So when you are not clear on that, when you are not really intentional about making that move the right way, you start looking at just what feels is the solution, or whomever seems as though they're doing what you wish to be doing. And you say, okay, bet, I'll just attach myself to them. And I'm sure they can put me to the promised land, or they can get me closer to that lifestyle that I want to keep. So it's unfortunate that this desire for what we put in our minds to be success, progress, whatever you want to call it, it ends up blocking our vision for what is right and what is out of bounds. It just doesn't make sense. Now, with the minute you get overly emotional, forget it. That black and white logic is out your head. So I think, just thinking back to my experience, definitely it was that maybe rush to want to leave a current situation and go into the next bucket that fades your vision or blocks your vision from what you know you should be doing versus what's not the right way.
No, I agree with that. And I got a question for you. So was there a particular, and without getting too much into detail, you know, Moose is good at that anyway, so we're good. Right. But not getting into too much into detail, but was there a particular situation where you were like, oh, okay, something's got to change? Because though in other situations I feel good about this one right here, I may be doing something wrong. And
yeah,
I got to follow up after that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, in one of those times, it was too late to change. It was you had registered a company too late. It was you had hired staff too late. You had gotten the work already, and so you can't just jump ship and say, nah, forget it. This is not going to work. I'm out of here. So I had terms change on me months after a business was started or after an agreement was in place. And so once terms change and your back is against the wall, at least at the time, which, by the way, folks, you can say no. No is an option to you too. Yeah. No is an option to you too. Just as people are saying no to you and some of the requests that you might make, your fear of someone saying no to you should not stop you from asking or you can respond no to somebody from, say, a request or something that they make. That's why I always say, me getting away from being so afraid of conflict and confrontation and understanding that it's nothing but a conversation that goes back and forth as long as your emotions are under control. So if you and I could be having a very tough conversation, but as long as our emotions are under control, it seems just like, okay, yo, we're serious. We're going, we're obviously addressing some pretty serious things, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way business is done. However, if I start screaming and I start cursing and then it's like, whoa, okay, you're immediately out of bounds. Like, that's just an immediate out of pocket. And so I'm realizing that in that situation, it was too late, but I could have still said no to, wait a second, no, that's not what we agreed on. Here's what it is. How about, well, let's meet halfway. So no, and following up with that alternative solution, it at least gives us an opportunity to go back and forth and say, all right, there's another way to do this. It's not just one way out, because again, you're afraid of losing the opportunity, that you don't even want to put any barriers between you and getting it done.
I had a problem saying no to. You know what I mean? I think in certain situations, I still have a problem saying no. I think it depends who it is. Normally, I've gotten really good at just saying no. And then if I do it, it's like a gift. It's like, oh my God, this is great. Thank you. So I've gotten better with saying no. But there's certain people that I'm just like, oh. I mean, now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Now, my follow-up is, though you've had an experience or whatever, do you battle with, so I'll say it like this. Like, for me, there's certain flaws that I have, right? Follow me with this. Certain flaws that I have that I'm fully aware that it can cause me to get hurt multiple times. But I don't want to fix it or put a guard up, because when the right person comes, then I have this guard of always saying no or never going to be doing this. And the right person comes and I'm like, nah, but
they're the right person.
I just right. They're the right. They're not going to mistreat or abuse the situation like the others. So I know for me, though me saying, me offering this or me doing this can be leaving me super vulnerable to get, misused in things over and over again. There's going to be somebody that partnership is going to work perfectly fine, right? Do you battle with that thought process, or it's like, nah, I learned, I'm good?
Nah, I mean, I don't know that I battle with it. I think I just remind myself to have the conversation early. So it's like, okay, you got burned. Yes, change. But instead of changing and just being a jerk to everybody, change by having the conversation up front. So before we start making money, before we start doing all this, let's get clear on what's out of bounds and what's inbounds. Who's responsible for what? So I just think of that, roles, responsibilities, the compensation. Although if you could just iron that out in the beginning and take your time with that typically resolves everything. And I actually saw a great example where I was almost in the middle. I was just listening in on a conversation, and I saw someone do that beautifully, where he was being rushed to jump in. It's like, oh, come on, let's just do this and move. And then the person really stood his ground and very calmly, really showed his boundaries, as though, no. So I just want to be clear that, this is how we would approach this situation. So first we have to, and then he laid out his terms. And so immediately it showed that, okay, this is not someone who's a pushover or someone who doesn't understand their worth or their value. I have to respect what this person's after. And I literally saw the conversation shift and take a different direction, because that person was just aware enough to say, no, it doesn't work like that with me when I'm in the middle of that dialogue. So yeah, I noticed that as long as you have those conversations up front, you always clear yourself from investing 3 months, 6 months, 2 years and saying, dang, I shouldn't have been here this whole time. Then you have to carry all that regret, all that hurt, all that frustration and anger, even at yourself and other people, because you couldn't have those conversations early. So for me now, I'm just like, man, have the conversation early, clear it up, and get it out the way. Davidson said, how can a person control him or her emotions? Can you got anything for that? How do you control your emotions?
In what way? I mean, that's such a very wide open question. How do I control my emotions? Like the
like
other person, how can a person control their emotions?
Yeah, like their own emotions when, say, things go left or things are about to get heated or, things like that. Do you have some that you fall back on for that? Or do you just like, nah, I ain't controlling nothing. Let's go.
I mean, for me, I can only speak for me. It depends on the situation. I pick my battles. You feel me? But I am a very emotional creature, right? I can get pissed off very quickly. I can get offended very quickly. However, when it comes to business situations, I have to remember that it's facts only, right? And it's not an emotional situation anymore. What I've realized for me is the only time I get emotional about things is when I consider people friends doing business, right? That's when the emotions really come through. And I've been blessed to be in those situations that are more positive when it is like friends in business, but sometimes it hits a trigger or two, right? Now, if it's just strictly business or an acquaintance or things like that, we're going off facts. I don't care to waste my emotions on you. No offense, but I don't care to do that because you're not that close with me, so you're not worth my energy. Sounds really bad, but it's very true, right? Mm-hmm. And when it comes to business, it's never really personal. Took me a minute to figure that out, but it only took me a minute to figure that out because of the environment that I was with and who I did business with. Once I started seeing things outside of that environment, I was like, oh, okay. You know what? I don't have these same issues, right? So if you're going through emotions, it's because you're attached to the situation, right? And you shouldn't be attached to the person, you should be attached to the results, right? And now, once you're attached to the results and that kind of makes you emotional, right? I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, right? Like, because now you're attached to if it dips, you're feeling a certain kind of way. Now, what is the motive to reverse that, right? If it goes high, you're super excited. That's a good thing, So there's certain emotions that you could use for it to be a really good motivation and really good output based off that. If it's off humans, you gotta pick your battles with that one, and you have to remember within business it's never personal. It took me a minute to figure that part out, and still going through some of those things as well because I'm one of those people that I like doing business with friends. Like, if we're close, if we work, and this is default in me, Moose will tell you, I trust too easily. I realized that this weekend too. I trust too easily. I let people inside the house too quickly, right? I was talking to Aaron, and I was like, yep. I realized I just trust too easy, and I do give my Social Security up in a drop of a dime, just thinking, If you did one thing, I love you. I trust you for the rest of my
Right.
life. One thing. No, I need to raise that a little bit. But it is what it is. Like how I was asking Moose before. Like the type of person that I am, it's easier for me to do business with friends because you have my best interests at heart. I have your best interests at heart, and we're going through the same goals. I'm now in a nice transition to separate the two with certain individuals, and it keeps me at peace. And so, yeah, long answer. I apologize,
Yeah.
but yeah, that part.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. No, I connect with the taking it too personal part. And I think for multiple reasons, but primarily because I'm one to care more about what I'm doing, maybe than the person who owns it or who it's for, or who I'm doing it with. And it's a pride thing. I've always said it. I don't say much bad about myself. I like to think I'm a good human, but the one thing that I publicly say is like, man, I got to work on that. Is my pride, but it's a healthy way. And for me, because I have so much pride, I never want to put my name on something and it be average or it be subpar. I don't care about the payout. I don't care about if I'm getting paid or not. I don't care about any of that. If my name is attached to it, I want it to be the absolute most crystal clear thing. And so I think that pride ends up making me care a little bit more than I normally would. And then that makes me take things a lot more personal when it is business, as you mentioned. And so you find yourself responding in a way, and when you really remove yourself from the situation or think back on it, you realize that you were way too attached emotionally to something that quite honestly is not yours or you don't own. And that's the big adjustment that I started to make now, is to say, okay, I can give my best until, because there is that cross in the road, and you want to create some separation. And quite honestly, this is even if you own it all by yourself, you want to create a level of separation between you and the thing that you're doing, because God forbid if you lose it, you don't want to lose yourself along with it. So it's okay for you to say, okay, I'm dedicated until, but if it goes down, I still have my life to live. I still have my health to care for, my family to look after, things like that. So you never want to be so attached to something that it goes down and you trip right in or trip right after it. So for sure, I'm realizing the importance of don't take it personal, remove your emotions from the scenario, and not everything is a personal attack too. I think that was something that I used to think about too. It's like, how dare they say this and I was there? It's like, bro, not everything is about you, and and not everything is a personal attack towards you. It's like, dude, just relax. Like you're not the only person in this planet that could initiate someone's, thoughts or emotions or responses. And so I think when I started thinking about it that way and saying, bro, I'm not going to respond based on what I thought this person did or what they should have did or what I would have did in that scenario. I'm going to take it for what it is. I'm going to control my emotions. If I feel that I have a logical response ready, I'll move forward. If not, I don't have to respond right away. I can take some time and get back to it. I can ask for more time and follow up tomorrow. So that's another thing I realize, when it comes to these conversations, a lot of times we think that if we don't respond right away, we lose. And quite honestly, I learned that in business and especially in negotiations, the person who's willing to walk away holds the most power, because you show that you don't need the opportunity after all. So if you're going back and forth and it's like, no, tell me now. It's like, well, I'm not in a position to tell you right now. I'll tell you what, let me follow up in 24. Well, if you follow up in 24, it's not going to be there. Well, that's unfortunate. If that's the case, I'm willing to take that risk. And then they're going to be like, whoa, you're willing to take that risk and lose this opportunity, so that you actually show again, that you're aware of your value and you hold some level of power there. So yeah, I think that between those two things, I'm able to now control those mess ups that I was making left and right before.
So, Nikki J, shout out to the name. Do you think there's a need for control element to that?
To what, the caring or the not caring part?
I don't know, guess.
Give me some context, Nikki J, just in case that is the full name. But
Right.
I think there has to be a level of control. I mean, at least for me, because again, I'm living my life off of principles right now. And principles for me are just simple quotes, sayings, things that I truly believe in are a way of life, and they make the most sense to me when I think about something logically. And I always say, or at least I've started to say, Nipsey Hussle says, too much of anything is a liability. So that immediately is my counter now, as I'm doing everything. I could be drinking water, and I'm like, bro, okay, drink a gallon, but more than a gallon, that's a lot of good that becomes a liability. So I'm learning to live my life through that perspective and just look for things and give my all and all of those things, but also recognize, all right, if I'm giving my all and the person is giving nothing, well, too much of anything is a liability. You're actually going to ruin the relationship or train the business partner, whomever is involved, that it's okay to give minimal effort and you're still going to be there carrying the weight. But you're upset that it's like, no, too much of anything is a liability. So I'll do my parts within control for sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
Real quick, I didn't acknowledge the super sticker that someone bought. So shout out to everybody who's doing super chat and super stickers. If you don't know what that is, that's like tipping the creator. If you want to do that, that's in the chat. In the bottom, there's like this little, I don't know, $sign kind of vibes. You could do that. Or if you're watching the replay, do the super thanks, same situation. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What about some healthy ways, Nix, now? Because, I realize that there are opportunities for us to build relationships or acquire clients or set ourselves up in position, as you mentioned, to either leverage for a variety of different things, not just money. But what about some healthy examples of, okay, here are some opportunities that you could see and you might say, this makes sense for me to do this for free?
I think, once again, what is going to get you to the next level, right? And going based off the three, what's going to get you to the next level money wise? What's going to get you next level? And when I say money wise, in a free standpoint, is me learning this is going to allow me to make more money down the line, right? So sometimes I get into opportunities because I'm going to learn something, right? And in the process of learning this thing, it has increased my skill level or given me a whole brand new skill level that will allow me to make money down the line, right? There's not much things that I do that is just for the sake of, because I love this. This is great. 9 out of 10 times, I'm doing something because it is allowing me to learn something of a skill set, or it's putting me in the room to a certain extent. Now, if you remember some lives ago, I don't believe all in totality to do things to get in the room per se for the free, right? For me, I've gotten burned with that too many times. So that's not, to get into the room is not my main motive anymore, right? I think once there's certain, how do I want to say this without sounding too, okay, I'll say it like this, right? You're going to get to a point where your name is going to get you in the room without you asking for it. And so there has to be a stopping point where you don't necessarily need to do things to get into the room, because possibly the room that you are trying to do that to, you could, if you want to get it for free, cool, but there's like 4 other rooms that are begging for you. So at a certain point, once you've done that a few times and you realize that people are speaking your name, You don't need to do for the free just to get in the room anymore, right? And I'm not on this whole where everybody is like, yo, create your own table, create your own room, this, that, and the third. I'm not even speaking on that, though you should to a certain extent, absolutely. But I'm more on there are so many other doors open and rooms with sofas, not even seats, sofas, so you can chill, right?
Yeah.
Waiting for you, but you're so focused on that over there that you're not even realizing the work that you've already done has gotten you in rooms without you necessarily being in those rooms. So I'm not big on that part per se, but I am big on, can I learn something? Can it get me my time back based off doing these things? And what I mean by that one is, though we may be doing something for free, this particular person or company or opportunity is actually going to allow me to save time in some way, shape, or form. If I do this is getting me closer, and this is speeding up the process 4 or 5 times faster than I would have done it on my own, right? So it's understanding and creating, if it meets these criterias, then I'll do it. If it doesn't, and everybody can have their own different one, right? Some people may be in that situation where I just need to get in the room. That's cool, right? You create your own standards of, okay, if it does this, I'm okay with doing this particular thing for free. Now, this doesn't mean your whole life is for free. There are going to be certain services, certain conversations that you don't mind doing for free, but it doesn't mean everything you do is free. So that's another boundary. What is something, like for me, based off those things, I can get on the phone with no problem. Let's talk. Get on the phone with me. What's up? Now I have a boundary where if you want me to create something, no, that's a cost. You know, before it wasn't. Now, if you want me to talk to you about it based off those standards, those criterias, yeah, I get on the phone. But the second you want me to manually do something, that's a cost, right?
Yeah.
But that's my boundaries. Now, we've spoken about it before where when it comes to my social media, I'll give everything for free, right? I'll give tips, tricks, tutorials, boom. On my lives, I give a whole systems, boom. The second you get in my DMs and you want me to look at something on my time, that's a cost, right? So for me, my platforms, I have no it's me, what I want to do on my own time, right? Now I'm checking my DMs and I'm looking at it and somebody's saying, hey, can you look at my page? Can you look at this? Can you look at that? Can you look at that? That's not on my time anymore.
Right.
That's on your time. That's, yo, do this for me, sir or ma'am. I'll kindly reply back. And people, 9 out of 10 times, respect that. It's perfectly fine. But these are the boundaries that I create, and that I suggest everybody create their own boundaries when it comes to, I don't mind doing things for free, but what are those things? And what are my non-negotiables with that, right? What can I leverage out of that? I have to still feel full with this exchange. I don't want to always feel as if I'm giving and 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 giving. I don't want to do that, right? I just want to do good and create impact but somehow, some way find a situation to where there is some type of return in it for me, and doesn't necessarily mean by that person, right? It could be by that environment. It could be guilty by association. So like somebody sees me and then, so, but this is understanding the scope of the whole situation. And that takes some time to figure it out.
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. Matter of fact, for those of you tuned in, just answer or just that are curious about how do you establish the boundaries between free and paid? We actually did a live on that some time back. So go back. It was a Tuesday night live that I'm confident we spoke on that topic, because that is, to your point, Nikki, definitely one of the things that I've pinpointed or saw in people who are very strategic about that. They know what is free and what is paid. They're very clear on those, distinguishing between the two. So definitely make sure you go back and check that out, because I believe that will be super helpful. Calvin, I think up top also asked about getting help with acquiring skills. So I'm actually, I think this was something, as I think about it now, I've never really, how can I say it? Have I worked for free? I mean, technically I have, but I don't consider it free, because I even paid to learn. So just some advice on that. Me personally, I think free is too expensive. Anytime that you're hoping someone does something for you for free, then you can expect them to cut corners or be on their time and things like that. So there's a lot of times where I will really almost enforce that someone takes money and their actual value, because I don't want them to cut corners and start treating whatever I'm involved in with them on their own time. Then it kind of falls off the list in terms of urgency and importance and all of those things. Now, will I do things for free for someone else? I would honestly rather pay, because as I'm learning now, when you pay for it, it gives you a certain level of status, and it doesn't show that you just have nothing to do. Right? It's like, oh, you just, now granted, if you're 17, 18, 19, 20, it's your summer days off or whatever the case may be, and you really do have nothing better to do with your time, and you're like, no, I literally have nothing better to do with my time. Like, that is the actual truth. Then by all means, go for it. But if you're an adult and you have stuff going on, I do not recommend that you just go up to people saying, hey, let me work with you for free. Right? Because I'm just being honest. It's just like, while it's a great way of showing how hungry and determined you are, I'd rather you kind of pursue the conversation, maybe get a discount or not take your full rate. But working for free, I just think it puts you in a different status. So for me, I actually would rather pay. So my way of doing it now is, I will, if this is someone who, let's say, is an educator or just has public showing content online, I will consume all of their free stuff. And I'm talking about all of it. And I've done it. I've done it before. Like, when I get serious about a topic and I know exactly what I'm trying to get out of it, I will be on top of every single thing until I get what I need. And then I will invest. Right? Then I will take of course, the paid approach in investing to acquire the knowledge and the information that I need. And then ultimately for me, I would like to be in some form of value exchange where, sure, we can barter, whatever the case may be, but I want to get away from free as much as possible, just because there are no boundaries in free. It's just whatever. You can do whatever, you can say whatever, you can leave whenever. Where I like to, and it's just my personal preference, my personality, I like to be in some form of structured environment, because I know the standard of what is acceptable for me, and then there is that same standard that exists for the other person as well. So that's how I'm kind of like seeing it differently now, where, following that approach.
Okay. Okay. The Adaptives. Is it the Adaptives podcast? Okay. Oh, wait. Where'd it go? Here we go. Let me raise that up a little bit. What is a nice way to say no? Like exactly how You guys say no in a respectful way. I think I do a lot of things for free because I don't know how to say no nicely and I fear losing their support. I'll tell you how I say no with the example that I give with my social media. It's not necessarily just saying no, can't do it, right? So if somebody asks me, yo, can you look at my page? Whoop-de-woo. I'd be like, so that's more of a one-on-one situation. What we can do is I can give you the link to the one-on-one, and the second that the invoice is paid, we can get right into it, right? So that's saying no without saying no. Like, what I've realized is always give a solution, right? There is a way to do it, but let me show you the way. Because if I say, for me, if I say no, then it's like, wah, wah, like. And for me, I feel as like, oh man, I just let them down, boom, boom, boom. But if I give a solution, then I'm giving people's options of like, oh, I still can. I just can't at this moment. And then it puts it back on them, right? And when it's back on them, it's not my fault. You know what I mean?
That's very smart. Yeah, I need to think about it that way. Give people the solution. I mean, for me, I fall back on my prior commitments, and just simply say, hey, thank you so much for thinking of me. I have, other projects. I have prior commitments that I'm really dedicated to right now. Unfortunately, I'll have to decline. And it's like, man, I'm so sad to say no to you, but it's still a no. It's like,
right.
man, I wish I could say yes, but
I want to.
it's still no. Yeah, it's still no. So I think that's a nice way of doing it respectfully and stuff.
He said, man, I would love to do this with you.
Yeah.
However, comma, no. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fair. It's like, I got other, if I've got other prior commitments or things that I'm really, focused on. And I appreciate you thinking of me, though. That definitely means a lot that you think so highly of me. But, again, unfortunately, it just doesn't look like I'll have that time right now.
So I got, because you said something where, and let me see if I got it right. So if you're starting out, right, and you are doing products or services or anything, right? You don't believe in doing it for free to build credibility? That's the question.
So because Calvin, I believe, was the one I was speaking to when he said acquiring skills. So I'm speaking, specific to that content. So that context from a skill hacking, skill acquisition standpoint, I highly encourage that you try and learn on your own as much as you can, and then invest to learn instead of hoping that someone teach you for free in exchange of something you would do for them. Because then you're more likely to pick up busy work in exchange for what you can learn versus, man, I already know Nicky is phenomenal when it comes to branding, content, and social media. And I'm getting this version of Nicky. So if I get her to do something for me at no cost, that is an absolute steal. Right. So I almost feel as though I owe you something. If it's not going to be money, then I have to give you insight into my business or something, right? Because I'm getting this full version of you. But if you are still skill hacking or looking to level up your skills and you're going to do the free exchange, then it's not real value that you're exchanging. So you're better off paying for it. Right. That, in that standpoint, for sure.
Okay. Because Dalton, let me know if you're still in the building, or somebody send this to Dalton, tell him to come back, because I want to use him as an example, because I think what he's doing is smart, right? So Dalton is a content creator who we are considering to take over the TikTok, right? And the way he's going about it is like, let me show you some samples of what I can do, right? With that, it is not a matter of, let me do this for free at all. Let me just show you the work, right? I'm not expecting you to pay to see samples, right? It is, and I've seen Dalton's work prior to, like, he's been a huge follower prior to, and I've been watching the progress and everything, and he's been like, yo, let me help this, that, and the third. But I'm big on not taking advantage of anybody, right? So once he started getting really serious, I was like, okay, let me really start paying attention to him. And now me and him have exchanges through the phone of like, okay, how does this look? How does this look? Right? The second that it is to the standards that we need, my man is getting a check, right? With what he needs in order to continue that, right? So in my head, I don't even see that as free. I see that as more as let me get this right for it to last the long term. Because when people, and this is just my personal experience, when people charge you, especially creatives, and not get the style right and not get the tone right, that is a quick turnaround as far as I'm not using you again. Right? And I respect Dalton and see that he has huge potential, that I didn't want to do that to him. So it is more of, yo, let's work back and forth. I got you the second this is going to be good. So he, he learned some new things, like he used to screen record. I gave him the tools and actually how to download it. This is not only going to help with what we need, but this is going to help with clients, period. Right? And so the only reason I'm comfortable, and for those people who are kind of in those same similarities, as far as whether you are the client or whether you are the creator, right? When you are in example mode, there still needs to be an exchange of value, okay? So, and I understand that in this time of Dalton, right, that I have to be able to provide him the tools to not just only help us, but to help him in totality. If I couldn't do that, this would not continue to go on, because then it becomes one-sided, right? Yeah. So for those people who are in that, do I give it away for free? Do I do this? Yes, you can give it away for free for a certain amount of time, as long as it's mutual. Not just super one-sided. As long as it's mutual, to then later on monetize in some kind of way, whatever your definition of monetization is, right? So we do have plans as far as, look, we're going to take this part serious. I just need you to get this right. Boom. So
that's good.
For those people who are in that same creator mode or products and things like that, give the samples away with the intent of getting them right. Understanding them, understanding what they need. Because once you understand it, it locks them in as, yo, no one else understands my vibe, right? No one understands I like certain words going this way, and I like the certain look of this, because you've paid more attention to the details than just a random creator saying, I can give you this package, here you go. Or I can give you this line of work, and here you go, right? So I just wanted to use that kind of example.
No, that's good.
Because I think that would help people who want to do it for free to build that credibility up, to be intentional with it, but also intentional with the relationships.
100%. No, and real quick, man, shout out to Dalton. I mean, This dude's growth over the last few years has been amazing. So Dalton, I got to give you your flowers, man. It's been dope to see you continue to progress and just rock on your own and do your thing. I know I thought he was from Michigan. I see him at Atlanta and some of the
Well, he
conferences.
lives.
Like
Yeah, he lives in Atlanta.
oh, he lives in Atlanta now. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was Michigan originally, but yeah, I was just saying. I mean, that still shows the commitment nonetheless. So no, shout out to you. But because you brought that up, let me give a bad example of what not to do.
Oh wow.
I think, yeah. No, just because I always think that sometimes it provides more context to show people what is the example not to do versus that which is to do, just to better learn something. And so one of the things that I got to make sure that at least I say, because I just had this experience recently where the group was just very passive. And I'm talking about extremely passive, meaning they want to do something to showcase their work, and they're not looking for compensation, but actually I think compensation, and it was just a constant back and forth of, okay, hold on a second. What do you want to do? Like what is the way forward here? And so I have to say, for anyone who's a service provider, please remember that you are in business to provide solutions to someone's problem. You should not try to convince, one of your tactics to convince someone that they should make use of your service. It should not be, let me continue to talk about how bad your problem is so that you can start to realize, oh, yeah, okay, let me work with you now because you just helped me realize how bad, my situation is. At some point, once you identify your client's problem, get on their team, show them that you got their back and their interest and you want to help them discover a solution. So I can't stand, and I don't think it's really good practice at all when people want to just sit there for hours and days, talk about how bad your situation is, and this is why you should hire me to do it. So get on my team, talk about the solutions more than you talk about the problem. So yeah, definitely one of the things to not do.
Another one.
Sheesh. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. So shout out to everybody. All right. First and foremost, shout out to everybody. This was really good conversation. This was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to you for bringing it up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody who got the new iPhone 14 that doesn't do anything different, I think. That takes a long time to migrate. I just got mine today and really, like, why did I get it? Like, why did I get it? I'm not sure why I got it.
You got it to make sure that your 13 doesn't slow down.
That too.
You know what I'm saying? That's
too.
part of the reasons why. Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
But also because, I'm such a tech person. But, this for those people who has to save money on this one. Just wait for the next model. This one doesn't look too different. Too different.
It's not fun.
Before we leave, are you excited about Q4?
I am. I'm looking forward to it. It's crazy how time has flew though, man. It's bananas to think that it's about to be October. That's crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
Really weird, actually. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But hey, don't save money. Shout out to Isaiah. I'm all for saving money. We're about to hit the holidays. Y'all got to buy some presents. If you want to buy presents for us, we accept all types of gifts. But you have to at least get it for your loved ones, which I think you consider as us, but no, I'm playing. Anyways, we are out, people. Go check out the podcast. The audio experience is out. The video experience is coming out every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's all. Thank you, Moose, for the conversation.
Yep, thank you.
And you know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.